This is my 1949 Studebaker 2R5 half-ton pickup truck that my sister and I are in the process of restoring. And today what I wanted to talk about was the hood locking system for the pickup. My hood locking system consists of two parts. You've got a lower part here that's mounted to the grill itself, and then you have the upper part here which has a dovetailed hood locking bolt here with the spring system. And this is what comes down and latches into the latch assembly down here at the bottom, securing the hood to the vehicle itself. What I want to talk about today is the repair I had to make to my upper system here in order to get this to work. So this is where the hood lock on my hood goes, this hood locking bolt with the dovetail end. And it mounts right here. And so when the hood shuts, it pushes up on the spring and allows that dovetail lock to get into the latch assembly. But it's only had about a 16 gauge thickness piece of metal across here that this was bolted to. And over the years, with the shutting of the hood, probably some water and stuff, you can see some rust that got inside of there. It weakened that piece of metal such that it started breaking and fracturing. And this hood lock bolt got pushed further up into there. And as a result, the hood would not latch properly. And in order to fix that, I had to take this off. And in the process of doing that, this weakened metal already broke and tore, so I went ahead and just cut it all out of there so that I could go ahead and save my hood locking bolt there. And this is the repair that I want to talk about. To begin with, I decided I was going to use a metal plate about an 1/8 inch thick to fill in across this whole area here, and to use that to disperse the pressure that the hood lock creates on the upward pressure. And so I took a piece of cardboard and I just kind of laid it in there, and I cut it out to fit around here. And once I had that, remember to keep your hole here lined up with the center of the hood as you do this. And then I took that and I cut out this metal plate here, and this metal plate actually fits on the hood right there, and as you can see, it goes all the way across there, so all that pressure is going to be dispersed across this metal plate. And then in addition to that, I made another plate that would go on the inside, and then I would bolt the two plates together and use the compression between the two plates to reinforce the rest of this metal here. So this is the plate that's going to go on the inside here, and in order to use that, I actually needed to put some nuts on the inside there so that I could bolt my outer plate to the inner plate. There's no room for wrenches, and so what I did is I used 5/16 bolts, and I welded these nuts here on each side here. And then this center nut is a 1/2 inch fine thread nut that you need for that hood locking bolt. And so that's what I've got, and it just simply slides in like this. And as you can see, it's lined up with my holes here. This is the center hole where that hood locking bolt will go. And then I'll put the other plate on front of that. However, before I do that, I just want to take into account the fact that I did cut out this piece of metal here. And what I don't want is air between my inner plate and my outer plate. So I cut out another piece of metal here that will fit inside of this, and then to make up for that space that was lost. Eventually I'll use this to have somebody weld this in for me, but it's not going to be my final fix. I'll continue to use those two plates just to make sure that this doesn't fail again on me. So with that, I'll go ahead and get everything mounted, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at it. One of the things I discovered when I went back to use this original hood lock with the dovetail in there is that because I had this 1/8 inch piece of metal plate here, and then the nut on the back side of it, it actually only allowed me to use about 2 or 3 threads on this to screw into that system. And so I needed to find a longer one of these. And what I was able to do was Studebaker International actually had one of these that was longer, and I'll put the part number in the video so you can have that. But this was about 1 inch longer than the old one, and what I did end up doing was I ended up cutting off about a 1/2 inch on the end of this, and then I had to thread down a couple of threads here so that this could be very similar to my original one. Okay, so I've got the 2 plates mounted. I got that inner plate mounted right there, and the only thing left to do is put the hood lock with the dovetail end up onto this. Okay, so now to go ahead and put this bolt together, what I'm going to do is I got this lower retainer here that slides over your hood locking bolt there. You take your spring, you slide it over that, it slides right over that lower retainer. Then you have this upper retainer that goes under. This here's got a little bit of rust in it, and so I'm going to go ahead and put another little thin washer on top of that. Originally this locking nut was the one that was used. You can see how thin it is. What I'm going to do is go with the full size nut, and that'll allow me to tighten this a whole lot easier. So I'm going to put that locking nut on there, and now it's ready to mount into here. If you need to, you can also use a flat tip screwdriver to help move this up in there. Okay, so now the locking nut is up against the plate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compress this spring in a little bit, then I'm going to take my 3/4 inch wrench and I'm going to tighten that locking nut down, which will also compress those 2 plates together and reinforce that pressure point right here. So there it is mounted, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just shut the hood and see how it works. Now this is the hood lock assembly found mounted to the grill or the pickup, and as you shut the hood, that hood lock with the dovetail end actually goes down, slides down inside of there, and this latch pushes back and allows this to go in, and then as this slides back, it locks around this dovetail head right here. So we go ahead and lower the hood. As you can see, it latches, it won't come up, and when you go to unlock it, you'll see it pop up just a little bit. There you see it pop up, and then you can go ahead and open the hood. Okay, just a couple of things to think about. You really want to make sure that you get some good measurements on this. A good point of reference is the center of the hood, pretty much where the center of this should be if you have to repair this. Just real quick, the measurement from my hood locking bolt there to the hood itself is just about 1.5 inches, maybe a tad over. And then you're probably going to have to adjust your hood lock mechanism here on your grill just a little bit, but you got some leeway there, so you don't have to be perfect because you can make some adjustments here, but you just want to be really, really close if you can. One of the things that I did want to mention, and this may be a reason for you to go ahead and get that other hood lock with a dovetail end, because you do need to be able to adjust this hood. I don't have my bumpers inside of here, but eventually I want my hood to be flush with this. And so my hood lock system's got to be able to adjust to help that work out on both sides of the hood here. And so just kind of keep that in mind. It's not just about latching, but as I start putting her all back together and put in all the rest of the pieces like these hood bumpers here, I need to be able to adjust the length of that hood lock with that dovetail in so that I can continue to shut my hood, and it shuts and it doesn't put undue pressure on that. And so I think this system will work. I didn't have to do any welding to fix it, but eventually I will weld that plate in there that I talked about just to connect the metal. But I think I'll still use those 2 1/8 inch plates in there to reinforce this hood lock for the years to come. Hopefully that will help somebody else out there. Thank you very much, and bye.